Hello everyone, welcome back to our daily issue analysis DIA, and today we have taken the topic inflation. So tackling inflation becomes very important, especially when we are observing that inflation in India is increasing every successive month in the recent times. So what is inflation? Inflation refers to a general rise in price of goods and services. And we are very sure that you would have come across this word whenever you have prepared for your prelims, because this is common concept which you should know definitely. Okay, so what has been the trend in the recent time? India's wholesale price index, that is wholesale price inflation in April and May, we are going to see. So in April it was somewhere around 15.08, and a fresh record high has been seen of 15.88% in May. And this is the 14th month in a row that this whole price inflation in India has stayed in double digits, that is above the 10% mark. So this is the data with respect to how what is the scenario now in the exam. Also, whenever you are representing it, represent it like this, where you can highlight that how it is increasing. Simply mentioning in a in one or two line will not create that impact. The if you mark if you design draw this graph, it will create a better impact, it will be attractive. So this is about wholesale price index. Okay, now if we take the help of wholesale food price inflation, so the wholesale food price inflation was 8 9.3% in March. Then it was reduced in April. It was somewhere around 8.9%. But again, it resurged to hit 10.9% in May. So this is how the wholesale food price inflation is varying. So now we have two data. One is of wholesale price inflation, and another data is of wholesale food price inflation, how it is varying in the recent months. So this you should use to substantiate your answers. Now let's understand why, what are the reasons. So there are demand side reasons, there are supply side reasons, but in this case majority of the reasons are will fall under this category of supply side reasons. So supply side reasons which we are going to discuss are these, starting with the high crude price. So state-run refineries, we have observed that recently they have started raising the prices, and because of which the road freight rates has also increased. And if that is increasing, it will lead to the transportation cost of farm produce will increase, and if that is increasing, the industrial goods and all the prices of related services will also rise. So just observe that how high crude price is leading to a chain reaction in industries, farms, freight, transportation. So it has impact. So everything will be become very costlier. Second reason is Russia-Ukraine war, the ongoing war. It has led to geopolitical instability. There are supply side disruptions and breakage. The overall chain has got disrupted, and it has affected the supply of wheat and sunflower from that region. Russia, the third point, Russia in December 2020 announced export, basically, they put a curb on exports of wheat, corn, barley, sunflower, and this they did in order to put a check on their domestic inflation. Not only that, because of Ukraine drought and Russian export control, coupled with the pandemic induced shortages of migrant workers in Malaysia's oil palm plantation, the edible oils and the cereals, they the global price of the edible oils and cereals has also increased. So basically, we are discussing that with respect to the third point, that is edible oils and cereals, the impact is because of the Ukrainian drought, Russian export controls, and Malaysia's pandemic induced shortage of migrant workers. So, see how it is creating impact. Whatever is happening in Russia, Ukraine, whatever has happened due to pandemic in Malaysia, it is affecting our inflation. Okay, because we are now in a globalized world, our economies are interdependent, interlinked. Not only that, fourth point, Indonesia started imposing restrictions, basically, even for that matter, a temporary ban on palm oil shipments, and they took this step in order to contain their local inflation, similar to what Russia did earlier in wheat. Because of this export restrictions, uh, the palm oil shipments, their prices are also increasing. Okay, so this is what is happening across in our surrounding, with our partners, with our friends, Russia and Ukraine. There are other reasons which we should look. So other supply side reasons are these. The fifth one being dairy inflation. So if you analyze the FAO's dairy and meat prices index, you will find that because of the increased cost of feed ingredients, that is corn, barley, rye, oilseed cakes, it has led to inflation in the dairy field as well, because the feed ingredients itself are very costly. Sixth point, because of heat waves, the grain output has reduced, its quality has reduced. This led to government banning wheat exports. Because of heat waves in India, now we are banning our wheat export outside India because it is leading to inflation and we have our own shortage. Not only that, seventh point, the LPG price hikes and electricity tariff revisions has also contributed to the to rise in fuel and power inflation. So that is another dimension of inflation, where how the prices are affecting the commodities are becoming costlier. Eighth point, weakening currency, because of which the imports are becoming costlier and it is being transmitted to domestic price, thus inflation is also increasing. So these are the supply side reasons which I am very sure now you would be able to correlate that whatever is happening at international level, whatever is happening because of the climate change, how everything is interlinked, whatever is happening with respect to agriculture produce, how the whole economy is interlinked. Now we will understand that what steps has been taken and what is the impact of that. With respect to inflation targeting, we know that we have a body RBI and now we have MPC, that is Monetary Policy Committee. And the main target, the task of RBI is or for that matter MPC in particular, is to contain inflation. That is inflation targeting. Its job is to see what inflation is there. It should be somewhere 4% plus or minus 2%. That is the tolerance band. In spite of this, today inflation levels are very, very high, and that is hurting the common man. So then what are the issues? Why this inflation targeting is actually not working? What are the issues? Let's understand it. Because this analysis you should know whenever we are writing the answers, or maybe if they ask in interview. So you should know the analysis. Then only you will be able to build a good understanding about the economy, that is GS3 issues. So the let's start. So the first point is geopolitical uncertainty due to Ukraine and Russia war. It has led to geopolitical uncertainty. So supply side disruption we have already discussed. It is there. Now what RBI is doing is they are doing this repo rate adjustment. So when the supply side disruption is happening because of war in particular country, if we are managing repo rate adjustment, if it will not work. Second, macroeconomic variables. So all the important macroeconomic variables, be it inflation, GDP, that is growth, employment, jobs, external balance, forex reserves, financial stability, they all are interrelated. Current account deficit, you cannot, basically, RBI or the economy, in the economy a country cannot target one without touching the other. So the macroeconomic variables are interrelated. That is the point which we are trying to convey in the second point. The third point is poor deposit rates. So the average deposit rate in India is 5%, right? So this is pushing savers to equity markets. This is happening because now these savers, the people who save money, the citizens, we are being pushed to equity markets, we are being pushed to bitcoins, golds, and which is resulting in asset price inflation, and thus it is further causing increase, it is increasing inequality. So see how the economy is in fact affecting. even inequality. So this is how we have to understand the issues. Fourth point is high crude prices. It cannot be controlled by manipulating rates domestically because we are dependent on crude oils from outside world, outside India. We are importing it, so definitely it is beyond our control. Other issues are fifth one being the unemployment. So if rates are high, then credit growth reduces. So there is less money in the economy. When there is less money in the economy, be it entrepreneur or anyone, they will not have money to expand. They will not have money to invest. So less jobs will be created, or you can say job lost. Job loss will happen because this era is also known as the Great Resignation era. That is, however, it is a different socioeconomic phenomena, but since money is not there, it will lead to unemployment because jobs will be not created. Rather, firing will happen, job cut will happen, so people will lose job. Okay, so it is being said, CMIE data is there, which suggests that over last 5 years we have lost 2 crore jobs outside agriculture. Okay, so whenever you are writing any point, try to substantiate it with whatever is happening, be it example, quotation, or your data, anything. Poor, sixth point is poor credit growth. Now, just imagine if we are pushing up repo rates or we are tightening the liquidity, when it will be when it makes sense. It makes sense when there is a lot of credit growth, when there is a lot of liquidity in the market, and that is leading to inflation. But the problem at present is that we have 25 to 30% credit growth itself. And considering the present scenario, we need more credits in investment and job creation. Then only the demand will increase, and then it will lead to a virtuous cycle than a vicious cycle. Okay, so that is also a problem. Poor credit growth is there. Also, there is a raising concern of that it might trigger inflation if we are raising interest at the current juncture. So this could lead to the concerns of stagflation. What is stagflation? It you can say it is recession inflation, or it is a situation in which inflation rate is high, the economic growth rates are slow, and unemployment remains steadily high. So this is stagflation. So these were the issues that why inflation targeting is not working. Okay, hope you all have developed a good understanding. Now we will see that what is the impact of this inflation. So whenever we are analyzing an issue, we have to analyze it from all the dimension: causes, impact, issues, data, judgments. However, we have done earlier, in not in this topic, judgments are not required. So let's see the impact. So whenever you analyze impact, start from yourself only. Starting from yourself means the common man, we as individual, family, society, how it is impacting us. So it affects the purchasing power. Since inflation is high, what we could buy earlier in 10 rupees, now we can thus the amount, the amount, quantity, everything will reduce. So it affects the purchasing power. Now we will save money. Oh, the things are costly, let's not buy it. So we will have our own reasoning because we cannot afford. So our purchasing power will be affected. Next, it affects the demand. Since the things are costly, people will think that okay, let's better save when the things will. For example, I remember few months back, 1 month back, the tomato was very costly, so we cut down our consumption on tomato. We thought, okay, no problem. When the rates will be lower, then only we will buy. So I remember I went to market and it was 120 rupees per kg. I thought, okay, let's not buy it. When it came down to 70 rupees per kg, however, that was also costly because few months back only in March and February, I bought tomato 10 rupees kg, 10 rupees, 20 rupees kg. Okay, so it affects the demand also. So that is another problem. If it is affecting demand, then there will be the credit mobility will be low. It harms the savers, the people who are saving money. If they are putting that money in the banks will reduce their saving rates. So the savers, and when the things are costly, when it is becoming costly, we use our savings to buy the things, to buy the commodities, so it harms savers. Next point, Small business people, they suffer. Small corporates, they suffer a lot because if persistently higher inflation is there, it will reduce sale, it will reduce profitability because there is lower demand. Also, it worsens the exchange rate. It worsens the exchange rate, as we have seen that high inflation is equal to rupee is losing its power, so exchange rate is uh, creating a problem. And not only that, investors will stay away due to reduced returns. So it has been observed that whenever such situation will happen, investors' sentiment will be, the morale will be down. They don't feel like investing in the present scenario. So if they are not investing, then jobs will be not created. People will not get salary. People are not getting salary. They will not. Uh, they will not demand. They will not buy the things. So again, it leads to vicious cycle of recession. So this is about investor sentiment. So not only that, the other impact are, it leads to inflationary spiral. What is the meaning of that? It leads to expectation of higher inflation. How? People expect future prices to be higher, okay, and demand higher wages. Thus, in return, it creates a spiral as companies, they try to price goods and services even higher. So, see, if inflation is high, I'm working, I will demand more. If company is giving more salary, they will increase the prices of the those goods and services, and thus inflation is there. So, inflationary spiral, it leads to inflationary spiral. Capital outflow. Outflow of capital from market will happen due to poor returns because the investor sentiment is low. And for example, FII outflow will happen more. Okay, so this is, it leads to another problem in the economy. We lose out money for investment and everything. Not only that, the current account deficit will also increase. It widens as rupee depreciates and our imports become expensive. So CAD is also widening. So with this, we have seen that what are the different dimensions of the impact. Now we will have a look at way forward. So starting with the first way forward is, there has to be a coordination between monetary and fiscal policies, because sometimes it has been observed that monetary policy is going in another direction and our fiscal policies, they are going in another dimension. So we need both the fiscal policy and the monetary policy should be coordinated to control the inflation. If government is announcing something, let's say reduction in excise duty on petrol, diesel, so government too has been trying to foster the economic growth overall. Okay, so if government is trying to do so, the monetary policy, RBI should also take action in that manner. So for example, recently government announced, the second point, they fostered the environment of growth for multiplier effect. So what they did, government announced a reduction in excise duty on petrol and diesel by 8 rupees per liter and 6 rupees per liter respectively. Now government has been trying this to foster this economic growth. Okay, because this will have multiplier effect on the economy, right? So this is another point. Job creation should be done, creating more jobs, so that, yeah, as you can see, this Agniveer scheme is part of that. If jobs will be created, people will buy more. If people will create demand, so demand will be their economic. We can tackle this economic recession because companies will produce more. So job creation is important. Not only that, we have scholars Kaushik Basu and Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee. They have recommended that this re-emergence of monetization of deficit, when we read prelims, we read about monetization of deficit. So they are suggesting that monetization of deficit should happen through better coordination of fiscal and monetary policy. That is, when you are below the full employment equilibrium, it is must. And they are suggesting that it will not lead to mounting inflation, but rather it will lead to growth. So this can be experimented with caution. So definitely we should try that. However, it is up to the policymakers how they are doing. So with this, we finished the inflation topic. Hope you developed overall holistic understanding about the topic, why it is happening, what is happening, impact, and what could be the way forward. So let's meet in the next video. Enjoy. Take care. Bye bye.